I think that we'd be in financial ruin if we'd be doing the Mark and Even thing of paying $100 per time that we touch our face. Thank God
What?
we don't do that.
What are you on about?
You know, Mark and Even from Unos Honest, they have this thing where like if they touch their face in one of their videos, now they have to like pay $100 to charity per time they touch their face.
Really? I wasn't aware of this.
No, they said it recently in like one of their videos. Like, if you see us touch our face, keep count, and then we'll pay $100 to charity.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
Yeah, no, I would totally get like handcuffs and cuff myself to my chair so that while I'm playing games and things, I don't vertically just touch my face.
Mm-hmm.
I'll constantly just go.
I put like big bowls of tape around my hands so that like I could physically like not get there. But yeah, it's tough. Like I catch myself doing it a lot. Anyway, welcome everyone to FrameCast 39. I can't believe we're on 39 of these. We're almost at 40 of these. It's insane. It's a crazy number. It's a lot. I don't know. I think I've been saying this since like episode 10. That it's a lot. So let me not go down the same route of the same thing again.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen your hair this long before.
Maybe like last summer. There was a time where like around last October it was quite long, but it was like puffy. I don't know. Like it's kind of long again.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the only reason why I'm wearing a hat is because my hair's a mess.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like my hair has actually been like to my shoulders like long ago, in a far
Never seen
distant
that.
past. Well,
Cool.
it's never been on camera, not around that time. And I'm also like I don't do anything with my hair because like when I was young, I would always be in the pool, so I would always just be like, "Fuck it." If I wake up,
it's gonna get everywhere.
yeah. If I wake up, that's just the way it is. So like that's how I've grown up. It's just like you just like the way I wake up, that's the way it looks. And it's maybe a bit weird now I'm doing camera stuff. Unless you're listening to this. Hey, good job for listening to this podcast and not watching it, because now you don't have to look at my hair. You can imagine my hair being like beautiful. Like, you know, when Ford
Johnny
had
Bravo.
like long hair, you know, before he had like that short hair, but at long hair, like that's what I look like. Imagine me like that. Imagine me exactly like that. Don't look up the video now, please.
Oh.
Anyway. Today we have an interesting topic, an interesting game in a sense. As I said, the last couple of weeks, very little has been happening. Very little has been happening in like the gaming world because of everyone staying at home. And now all of a sudden, this one game comes around, Valorant. I don't know if you've heard about it, Drew.
I have heard about it. I think, did we talk about it last week?
No, we haven't
Exists.
touched on
I
it
spoke to
before.
someone. No, I spoke to Zale in the Hades game and chill. That was it.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
apparently this game is like, I've only recently seen it on my Twitter feed, but it's like a 5v5 first-person shooter game with abilities. So it's kind of like
it's another hero shooter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of like an Overwatch that's meant to compete with CS:GO in a sense, which is an interesting compliment. We don't know. We don't know what will happen. But like their focus really is on being very fair. So like they actually launched their closed beta on April 7th, and their official launch for the free-to-play game will be in summer 2020. And their thing is like, oh, we have 128 tick servers. We have at least 30 frames per second on all the computers. We have up to 144 plus frames per second on modern rigs. We have like data centers all around the world. So you have like this under 35 milliseconds response time. We have like, they have all these things and like this big commitment to like an anti-cheat, which is what we're going to be talking about soon. But like, it's quite interesting. This game coming around, especially after like most of like the major like shooter titles have been like battle royales, and all of a sudden they're coming around and be like, yo, we're not going to do that. We're going to do 5v5. So might this be a game you could be interested in or not at all for you personally?
I don't like PvP games.
Mm-hmm.
Like the biggest problem I have with PvP games is the biggest problem I have with PvP games is that I like to play games with my friends. right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's no word of a lie. A lot of my friends, yeah, they have this toxic nature behind them. They don't realize it or they fully acknowledge it. But when it comes to PvP based games, they get super salty, super toxic, and when they lose, and it's just like it's just a game. They hate this mentality of it's just a game. Just have fun. You can have fun losing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know Mr. Beast would disagree with me.
No, that would probably be Ninja.
No, that's what I meant.
Mr. Beast would probably hand you a bunch of money, which is why you said it's his name. If he's watching, he probably isn't.
Just hand me a bunch of money. But like
No,
honestly, I got bored of Overwatch. I expected Overwatch to get a PvE game mode, but it never did.
Overwatch 2.
And then Overwatch 2, which is just Overwatch again,
Yeah.
trying to oh god.
So,
Like-
I can very well understand where this game is coming from with like the things that they're proposing with like the very low lag, very high like very smooth running game with a massive emphasis against like cheaters. Because to me, I can quite enjoy myself in a round of PvP, in a brawl of PvP with my buddies where we compare our strengths. However, the thing which I found most of the time, or over the years, where I got infuriated by, isn't that like someone that's legitimately good kills me or like takes me out or beats me. Like that's fine. I got no problem with that. What I can get a bit passionate about is when when there's like lag, which is obviously like not fair. When like I've been shooting at a dude for 10 seconds and he shoots one bullet at me and I'm dead. Or like when there's like obviously someone that's like cheating to like have a trick shot or like be immune, and like that really sucks. Like I'm 100% down and I don't have any problem with people being better than me. Like that's fine. That's cool. That's part of the game. You can like that's also like you feel you can learn from that because like you can look at like the kill cam and be like, how did they do that? What did they do? And how can I prevent like how can I beat this guy? And you can try different tactics. But when it's lag or when it's something which feels utterly unfair, oh, that can get under your skin. So I can very well understand the idea with which they're coming from. However, this is something else. So Valorant has been running for a little while. I think about a week now in a closed beta form. We're gonna talk. Actually, you know what? Why don't we talk first about the way to get it, and then we're gonna get into the anti-cheat thing. I know it's like our titular topic, but you were kind of surprised at how we get it, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let me get some of the details. So Valorant, in order to get this game, if you want to play this game, as Nvidia says in chat, it's CSGO with powers. The 5v5 first-person shooter. It launched last week, but the only way to get into it, apart from being a chosen content creator, is to gain access via Twitch drops. So how does that work? Well, people need to register with a Riot Games account, like register an account on Riot Games, and then link that account to their Twitch account. Then they need to watch a Twitch stream from a Twitch streamer playing Valorant, and have that stream be drops enabled, and then they can earn access to the game or have a chance to get access to the game. So basically, the way it works, you sit there. A Twitch drop happens. However that happens, Twitch drops happens, and boom, you got access to the game. You can access the closed beta. So as a result of this, like the Valorant Twitch directory has been peaking at over 1 million viewers every single day since like the launch. The first day was over 1.6 million viewers in the entire directory, which is pretty big. If you compare it to something like Warframe, which gets about 1,000 a day, it's pretty big. However, the way that the drops work has kind of been unclear. Like, the only directions that you're given is, like, watch a stream. And there's not a interval at, like, every hour this thing drops. Or based on this action, this thing drops. There, as far as I could find, no information about that. Just watch it. And on top of that, there's only been 97 handpicked streamers that have drops enabled. So if you gain access to Valorant and you want to stream it, you're not going to have drops enabled. Only the people that Riot Games has chosen to have drops enabled have drops enabled, as far as I've been able to find. So Yeah. How do you feel about being able to access a game or acquire a game solely through watching Twitch?
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty fucking shitty, right? It's like, why even fucking bother? It's yeah, Jesus Christ.
Well, the
It, no,
reason
it,
okay, so the reason why they might bother is because I believe, and I didn't look this up, and I'm pretty sure that I saw this going around, is they started off with a tournament, and that was like one of the first things they did. And given that this is a PvP type of game, and the games that do really well on Twitch are PvP games, if you want to put your PvP game on the map, what better way than to start off with a peak day of 1.6 million viewers in your directory?
no, I get that, right? But the problem I have
Mm-hmm.
is word of mouth doesn't seem to be good. Like, look at Apex Legends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Apex Legends had no marketing behind it in any capacity, and then as soon as it gets released, boom, right? I heard more about Apex Legends than I have about Valorant because everyone just got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was an interesting, engaging game. This to me screams to me like a shady deal going on. The fact that, you don't necessarily get a good quality product because they are making it exclusive. I mean, do you know about the method of sales for Haagen-Dazs ice cream? I'm pretty sure it's Haagen-Dazs.
No, I'm not.
So, so Haagen-Dazs ice cream was basically, you know, it wasn't available to everyone. It was only available to like the super rich and fancy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Haagen-Dazs actively chose not to sell the ice cream to anyone else, right? And that got the interest of everyone else. It got the interest of the common public, right?
Mm-hmm.
It got the interest of the likes of you, of the likes of me, of the likes, anyone that I pretty much know. If you couldn't be super rich and fancy, then you didn't get the privilege of having Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And then eventually, when enough hype had built up about, I wonder what Haagen-Dazs ice cream tasted like, did Haagen-Dazs release it to the public? And then it sold like hotcakes,
Mm-hmm.
right? It made them an absolute metric truck ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, this, like, even Blizzard's shifty Twitch drops for Heroes of the Storm. Do you remember me talking about that like a year ago?
It's been a long time. Could you refresh
So,
my memory?
so to refresh everyone's memory, the Twitch drops for Heroes of the Storm was every hour, like X amount of chests were just handed out to people that were watching Heroes of the Storm on Twitch, right? Now, you weren't guaranteed a like a chest. I think I worked out mathematically, like this rings a bell in my head. Like, you had a 16% chance every hour to get a chest because, like they said, we were only giving out like X amount, and if you looked at any one time, there was always like, I don't know, 8 times more or however many times more people watching Heroes of the Storm on Twitch. So yeah, and that sort of thing was a bit shifty, right? I had to leave Heroes of the Storm open on my web browser 24/7 to get any decent number of chests, like loot boxes, right?
Yeah.
So to me, like, not telling people like this is how you can get Valorant feels really fucking shifty.
I mean, okay, so I'm of two mindsets. First of all, what you mentioned with the ice cream is like, yeah, it's a bit weird, but on the other hand, it's like, if they hadn't done that, would you have spoken about it today? Would you have still remembered the brand today? It's a bit like, why are iPhones being sold so well? Because like if you look at the phones themselves, like they're not that much greater than like comparative phones or like even cheaper phones, but it's because like it's been built up into be this like prestigious brand that people will take. And like how do you build up a prestigious brand? Like first tie it to exclusivity, and then like after a while when everyone's like, oh, that's prestigious, make it available to the public, and everyone's like, ooh, I wanna have my slice of fanciness. So like it's a marketing strategy, and if you're not interested in like getting the ice cream, then why would you care? So I can agree with like, hey, it's a cool marketing strategy. If you want to sell a product and you want to do it this way, you're free to do it that way. Go ahead, try it. However, I'm a bit split over the Twitch drop thing. And actually no, I'm not entirely split, but I'll explain later why I feel a bit more one way. But let me go with split right now, and then we'll progress as we go along. But first of all, what are the good sides of this? Well, first of all, we said like the exposure that he gets is like a competitive Twitch streaming thing that kind of like the best watched streams on Twitch are like PvP games. So like if you want to put your PvP game into place where like most people watch PvP games, perfect way to go about it. 1.6 million viewers, like that puts you right up there. And hell yeah, dude, good job. And also the way that like you can only get it for watching content creators. As a content creator myself, hey, cool man. You're like that. Like the way to get it is for like the idea. Let me point out, I'm saying here idea. I'm not saying that this is exactly the way it is, but the idea of like supporting these people, you can get that back. That is cool on the one hand. But on the other hand, I'm kind of like, you know, it sounds really, really cool. It brings me back to the time when we had, like, with Warframe, we had Twitch drops. And everyone's like, oh my god, this is so cool. I can watch streams and then get something for free. That's awesome. Well, that's sweet if you're already watching Twitch. But if you do not watch Twitch yourself, it's like, yeah, well, now I have to go out to the site I barely go to. And, like, you might be like, how hard is it to, like, go to Twitch? It's like, well, not very, but, like, what if I don't like it? What if watching live streams isn't my thing? And it's like, well, like, people had a really hard time installing a second launcher when like Epic Games came around, and hey, if that was your pet peeve, that's your pet peeve. You're allowed to like have that. It's like, but the only way of like getting it now is for like watching this stream thing, this Twitch thing, is a bit like, yeah, it works well for people that like it, but it doesn't work well for people that don't like it. And then if
the problem is, right, like Häagen-Dazs, right? The reason why it's so memorable is because they were one of the first companies to actually do this marketing method, right? But you knew what the marketing method was. You're a common person, you're not allowed it, right? So you had the rules defined there. With Heroes of the Storm, right? Every hour we'll give away, let's just say for hypothetical reasons, we're going to give away 50,000 chests, right? You've got a number and you can work out the percentage because you got two numbers, right? You've got something there. With my Titania Prime giveaway on Twitter, right? I've stipulated the rules are follow me, like the tweet, retweet the tweet, and put a comment on it, right? I built an actual thing to work it out. And I've even told people, if your name is not in this list, you are not eligible. Right? Reach out to me and I'll make sure we can work out why you're not eligible. But the problem with Valorant, is that what it's called? Yeah, Valorant, is that it's just watch one of these select streamers. That's it, right? It's too shifty. It's too, you know, like, it feels like a pyramid scheme.
Well, I would kind of say it is. Okay, so, oh my god, okay, this is something really interesting because it's kind of not, but it could have been, but it's not because for a bad reason, I feel. Okay, so like why would I say it is not now? Because like the only way to get these Twitch drops is for streams where only the Twitch drops are enabled on. And as far as I'm aware, so I've looked around, and it seems that the only way to get to the only streams that are Twitch drops enabled are the Twitch streamers that have been chosen beforehand. Like 100 or so handpicked streamers that have their drops enabled. And so if you get your hands on Valorant, then like, and you want to stream it, you're not going to have your drops enabled as far as I'm aware. And that is like on the one hand, like yes, okay, so like that kind of negates the pyramid scheme because like the pyramid scheme would be like, hey, I give you my drops. Like you get my drops from watching me, and then you can get the drop. Then you can get drops because you now got the game, and then someone else can get it, and someone else can get it, and like we're just gonna continue on because this is a great
Yeah.
thing. That would kind of be the pyramid scheme thing, but that doesn't work because it's only like the 100 handpicked streamers. And on the one hand, I can get it. Actually no, I don't get it. I don't get it because like the thing is what you find with drops periods, especially with Twitch drops, and I've experienced this very well streaming like very heavily during the times that Warframe, which was the very first game that really had Twitch drops, streaming a lot during those campaigns, having Twitch drops enabled, like being the channel where you can get shit, really fucking increases the views on your channel. So like if you are streaming in that category and you do not have Twitch drops enabled, people won't give a shit. Like seriously, like the amount of traction that people will get just from having drops enabled is crazy. Now, is that all high quality traction? Are those all people that are going to follow the channel and are really going to be like some people like, is it great? No, probably not the best.
I argue it's really bad, right? Because, you know, the people that are watching your stream, like, okay, for example, again, the Heroes of the Storm loot chests, right? I literally had it on a tab, muted the tab using the web browser, not the, oh gosh darn it, what's the name of the damn thing?
Not the Twitch player.
Exactly. So it wouldn't pause, right? And I just had it in the background. I didn't care to watch these people. I didn't care who they were, right? Good for them. They're getting more views. They're higher up in the directory. Still don't care. I just want my thing. Right?
That's true, and like a lot of streamers have also said that they don't that some of them don't like Twitch drops periods because of this, because like it will inflate their views but doesn't result in higher Twitch chat or like more followers, which might be bad for numbers. However, because you might be watching and a lot more people might be watching the way that you are with a muted tab, that streamer will get higher up in the directory, and because of that might be able to engage with a larger audience that will actually like interact with them. Like it's done great wonders for a lot of people to grow. Maybe not directly with like the way that like Twitch would like to see, but I remember when we had the first Warframe Twitch drops period, and like there would be so many new like Warframe partnered creators that just started streaming like right before there, and like in those 2 weeks gotten to 2,500 followers, and boom, here they were, and they just kickstarted their career. And like honestly, like afterwards, it's like it's up to you to take that on and work with that. But that's a great thing. And at the same time, you're gonna have a lot of people like subscribing with Twitch Prime for these things. Like I know some people that would just make from a single drops period stream, would make $1,500. And it's like, yeah, maybe a lot of those people will not come back. Maybe a lot of people, for those people, were just like Twitch Prime subs. But hey, $1,500 is $1,500, and if you're just starting out as a streamer, hell freaking yeah, I'd say yes to that.
My issue with that is it's not a steady income.
It's not, but if you're starting out for on Twitch, like if you are like, or even like, it doesn't matter where you are, but it's like right now, like a drop spirit could mean like just a boost for that, just like a $1,500 bonus. But I don't want to like attribute that amount to it because not everyone is gonna get that, but at least some people have the chance of getting something like that. However, right now, because only the sub 100, like only the 100 cherry-picked like streamers, which are already like big name streamers, have been chosen to have drops, everyone that's like trying to become a streamer or like not even there or hasn't been chosen, they've been denied this opportunity. And they don't have a say in the matter. It's like you can choose to turn off Twitch drops. Like you can not connect your account to like your Riot Games account, and then boom, you don't have Twitch drops as a streamer. Like you can opt out of it to just disconnect it. But now, if you want to be a part of this because for whatever reasons, maybe you want a little bonus, maybe you want to grow your channel or whatever, you can't choose to do it. Yeah. And that's kind of shitty, I feel. And
like, in all honesty, like League of Legends is not a small game.
No.
Right? So we're talking about Riot Studios. who owns League of Legends, and I can very easily imagine that League of Legends traction has decreased over the diminished interest of MOBA type games, right? So they are looking to gain traction in other genres. I know that they've done a sort of card game. I can't remember what it's called. It's very weird. I think it's for mobile. And at the same time, they've also done Valorant, which is your Overwatch spin-off, right? But like, I cannot think of a justifiable reason why to go down this route. If you want to limit the number of people that have, oh god, what's the name of the dang thing? If you want to limit the number of people that have access to the closed beta, then surely you just need to address the people that are playing League of Legends, right? If you want to increase the popularity of the title, right, then I imagine you would do something like this.
Well,
right? You're not after.
How about, remember Temtem? Like a couple of months ago, that game came out, or like released as like an open beta thing, and so many people signed up for it that like the servers crashed, and people were complaining about the servers being down, and like, oh, there's so many people on, you can't play this thing. What if this is their way to like trickle in people slowly but surely over time, so their servers will keep up, and at the same time doing this marketing tactic where they're like, hey, it's an exclusive club. You can only get in if you're in. So they're like doing this for those two reasons. Like
there's no sense of brand loyalty, right? So I don't know, if you have it with, to be fair, I'm very adamant to say brand loyalty is dead, right? The whole idea of you being rewarded for sticking with a specific brand, I'm pretty sure that's dead. I've known my father, who used to be with Orange Mobile for like 16 plus years. They just turned around and cancelled his contract, which is just absolutely insane. Oh, we're not making enough money off your account.
Wow.
Bye. Like, cool. That's awesome. So to me, it just feels like it doesn't feel like that they are trying to get players onboarded. It just feels like they are trying to promote the game and nothing else, right? They say there's a chance of you getting into the closed beta, right? But they don't say you will have access to it, right? They don't promise.
Yeah, that's something that NVIDIA pointed out like a while ago, where it's like, if you don't like watching Twitch, but you want to like get in this game, you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll just make this Twitch account, and I'll just mute the tab and like have it open. Well, you don't even know when you're gonna get it. So apparently, like NVIDIA says, apparently you need to watch 2 hours of the chosen few creators before you've even entered in the pool for which you can receive a code. So you don't have a chance of getting anything for the first 2 hours, and then you're in a pool where you have a chance of maybe getting it. So it's like it's not clear, and like you don't even know what. Like, as far as I'm aware, the only way to find out if you've gotten it is to then go back to the Valorant website, hit refresh, and then it will tell you if you have access or not. And it's like, it's so vague. It's so like I can 100% understand people be excited about this if you've been with this game, if you're like you've been looking out for it, you're like, oh yeah, it's coming out, and you love watching Twitch and you love watching your Twitch streamers, like, frick yeah, normally you could only like buy your way into closed betas, and now I just watch my streamer stream, which I already do, and I just get it. It's so cool. But like I like that as like a secondary option, but it's like this being a primary option for like all the people that just don't like watching Twitch. It's just, it's shit. And you can't even buy your way in. It's not like, oh, hey, you can like buy Founders Access and like get your way in. I don't know how much better I would feel about that, but like that's not even an option. The only option is watch bloody Twitch streams from this handful of creators.
Talking about that, there's a game on Steam. It's called Mass Builder. Mass is an acronym, and it's basically mobile suits, but you build your own mobile suits. I'm going to post it in chat now, and I'll post it to you. and it's the level of customization. Loz bought this like straight away while it was on offer, and I'm gonna buy this. Right when it comes to the end of the month, I'm gonna buy this, and I'm not gonna play it until co-op comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I want to support a game like this. There is no real mech-based game that is like this. I want to support it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy for them to take my 20 quid, spend that money to help towards development, and then when the features that I want come into the game, right, I will then play it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? But, like, Valorant is just like, Jesus Christ, I don't fucking get it. This is just such like. And actually, one thing I will say, it is nice that they have taken the route of supporting an indie content creator to do this marketing. Right, I will give them credit for that, because too many like AAA titles and things like that, they just ignore the influence that these content creators have. So I will tip my cap at that, but I really don't like the idea that the fact that what you've pointed out, where if you want to become a content creator and you have access to Valorant, you cannot have an opportunity of giving away codes through the Twitch drops. I don't like that. I think that is just too toxic.
The thing is that like when you were describing what this game, where it's like, I'm gonna buy this because I want to support it. I was thinking like, hey, how about like, how cool would this be? Where like, hey, like you're putting money into something which is being developed. Like a beta, most of the time, is something which like a game in development, and if you buy access to it, if you support it, then like you can make it grow. So like, why, like, isn't it cool that they're like opening up like the doors already via this Twitch thing for like during the beta period, where normally this is something where you buy into, but like the thing is, you can't buy into this. And so it's literally, it's not like, hey, we're making a beta to see like if this game can work and if people want to like put money into it. No. This is literally like, it's open now, but only for this way. So it's not like this noble thing where it's like, oh, we have this closed beta, but if you want in, we do it for Twitch. No, it's just like, we just want to have the press for this thing. And like, not necessarily that there's something wrong with it, but I don't think that you can go fight the intention round of like, oh, they mean good by like having people gain free access. No, it's entirely like a press ploy. It's entirely like, even when you were talking about like supporting the indie creator, I kind of disagree. Like, if this would be for all people that have it, that stream for this, that have their accounts linked, yeah, maybe like it would be a really great way for like support, like getting, like if you can get Valorant for like watching someone that's got one viewer and boom, you got it. Hail, man, awesome. However, it's only 97 streamers, and I'm not very familiar with the top streamers, but I believe it's like the 97 like top streamers. So it's basically, I don't know the details behind it, but I would assume there is money involved as well. Like they would like, it would be sponsored streams. And basically like what they're doing is they're just putting money down and this deploy down to get the top streamers of Twitch to stream this and make this a top directory on Twitch. Which again, may be your tactics, like that's fine. But I don't think that like it's the intention of like, let's support the small creator, let's support the creator for this. No, it's just like, hey, let's just buy this. And like, I'm not a great like I'm not too excited about that. It's like, it's something, and then like I haven't even touched on like the I don't know. Okay, so like the one other thing which I wanted, like which I put on the sheet for to talk about, I talked about the promotion of people that don't like Twitch and drops only for a handful of people, but I also wanted to talk about like the inflated views, where like during the Twitch drops periods that I've experienced with Warframe, it's been like really bad times for a lot of people. Like some people made really good, like had a really good time with it, but a lot of people were really upset about it and didn't want to stream in the directory because, yeah, as you said, a lot of people are just sitting there with muted tabs. They are not actually viewers. They will count as viewers, but they're not actual viewers. Like your numbers will rise, but it won't mean shit because like over 90% of these people will not come back. I've seen people that will on regular pull 100 viewers, which is decent, but then during that 1 week pull over 40,000 viewers, which is very good, and then never get returned to that. So it means very little. However, the thing that I kind of feel now is like, yeah, for a streamer, like that's not great. However, like the only streamers that really have this are the streamers that have drops enabled, because a lot of people won't watch something which doesn't have drops enabled, and the people that have drops enabled most likely will have some sort of contract, which is like just speculation, but they'll probably have some sort of contract. So like they've chosen for this. So like I don't think that even applies. It's like they knew what they were in for. So yeah, they're getting the inflated views, but it's their choice.
I think it's really challenging within Twitch. Like the Twitch market is quite different from that of the YouTube market. So within YouTube, you have quality content or tutorial-based content, or there's a lot of different types of options, right, within content. But one of the biggest problems I have within Twitch, and if I'm wrong with this, I genuinely love it if someone was to sit me down and say, Zeno, this is how you look at Twitch content. But every single thing about Twitch, it just seems to be filtered by this game, right? I'm not here to watch the game. I'm here to watch quality, right? The reason why I watch Jacksepticeye and Markiplier is that they entertain me while playing the game. The reason why I watch the Game Grumps is they make me laugh while they play the game. The reason why I watch, there's one that Loz pointed me to, the Internet Historian. The reason why I watch him is because like the sheer volume of stuff I did not know about in the internet's past. Also, he has an amazing way of delivering the information, right? The reason why I watch Yong Ye is because he does a lot of research and he doesn't over sensationalize the news he is reporting. The reason why I watch JonTron is because he finds the weirdest shit out there and makes some really funny videos about it. But with Twitch, I'm sorry, the problem I have with Twitch is I see so much chaff and there is no real way to find the good stuff. Actually, and it's really unfair.
Actually, in theory, I would agree. In reality, I'm going to disagree.
Go on.
Because you mentioned Markiplier, you mentioned Jacksepticeye, you mentioned JonTron.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Game Grumps.
Yeah.
You watch them for their personality. That's cool. How many of the people on YouTube that you watch for their personality, how many channels that have sub 10,000 subscribers have you found that you watch for their personality? Not by looking for a game, not by looking for just for personality. You were just looking for that personality and they popped up somewhere and you're like below 10,000 subscribers.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I think that YouTube has as much of a problem, because one thing I would love for YouTube is, here's a game title, right? I'm feeling lucky. Yeah. Right? Here's just something I'm looking for. I'm feeling lucky. There is no I'm feeling lucky button, right? I really freaking wish there was.
So,
right?
So the thing with Twitch, the thing that I think Twitch has going for it is that yes, you watch Markiplier, Jacksepticeye for their personalities. I believe that in the end, people that get more familiar with creators will watch them for their personalities. But in the beginning, I think an over majority of people that watch content are looking for a specific game, because they're completely unfamiliar with the person that they're faced with. They've never seen or heard about them before in 99% of the scenarios. So they'll watch them because they're looking for something for that game. So in that sense, Twitch works well because you're looking for like the game. And YouTube does the same thing. Like, why do review channels within games grow really fast? Because people are searching for that game and then they encounter the creator. However, what Twitch does have is that if I go to the game, I can scroll down And I can see, like, very quickly, if I just, like, scroll down, like, one go on my mouse wheel, depending on the category, like, some categories are more, I can see people that just started out. I can see people with 1 viewer, 2 viewers, 6 viewers, whatever. And there is definitely audiences out there, or people out there that are looking for, again, that are looking for, like, the smaller streamers, because they can actually interact with them, whereas with the bigger streamers, the chat goes so fast, they can't. So it is way easier on Twitch to find someone that just started out, because you have that way of scrolling down. The problem with Twitch, though, is that you can only watch one stream at the time. Like, the
Yeah.
content is actually just, like, the content on Twitch is so very, like, homogeneous. It's, like, homogeneous. That's the right way of saying it. Homogeneous. It's so homogeneous because everyone's just, like, cam, gameplay, boom, this is what we do. Some people have, like, little tricks, but it's not really much. So, yeah, like, the content is kind of, like, similar. But in order to find, like, the smaller streamer, it's way easier to find the smaller streamer than it is to find a smaller YouTube creator. However, there is no recommended system, so the only way to find it is if people actually scroll down or actually, like, you host you or whatever. So, like, that's harder, and you can only watch one stream at a time, so, like, growing on Twitch isn't as fast as on YouTube. However, when it comes to, like, finding creators, finding personalities on Twitch, yeah, I think it's got a little bit better than YouTube when it comes to, like, the really small guys. Because, yeah, like, same thing. I watch Markiplier and Jacksepticeye solely because of their personalities. But how do I know about them? Because they're the big guys. They're the ones that that I get recommended in my recommended feed now for years, and I'm like, okay, well, let me check them out. Like, it doesn't really happen for, like, the smaller guys.
Actually, one thing I would really love, unless it's again a feature there that I have not yet found, one thing I would love for Twitch to do is show me English speaking streams. Right? Don't like, well, there is no point in me watching. Like, I'm literally, I've gone to the not Warcraft, Minecraft directory, and there's one here. Well, actually, there's a few here that are Korean. I can't interact with that person.
But
I don't speak Korean, and I don't read
most of the time
Korean.
they'll have tags. Like, Twitch has introduced tags where, like, you state the language that you're speaking generally, and then the tag will show English or Korean, or, like, there's actually a language system that people are supposed to, like, fill in.
Yeah, I get that, but why can't I just filter that out of the results?
You might be able to. I'm not quite sure. I don't often use the Twitch desktop interface, but, like, it's also.
Oh, actually, no, there is. There is a filter tag.
Yeah,
there is. Why isn't it on by default? Does that stay on? If I now go back to browse and I go to World of Warcraft, oh my god, English is still there. If I go to Minecraft again, English is still okay. I'm wrong.
Problem solved.
I'm wrong. I'm admitting it right now. I'm wrong, but that should be more prominent. That should have been obvious.
Yeah, well, like, most of the time you can, like, if you see the tags, like, you can figure it out whatever stream is in that language. Also, like, Twitch has, like, this thing where, like, there's, like, a small creator front page thing where, like, they'll have, like, a separate page on the front page where they'll just, like, throw up streams of, like, less than 10 viewers, which is interesting. Not seen, like, that much going on with it, but anyway, let's get back to the topic. We had a few responses in chat, so let me make sure that we get to those. Let me see. Jesper Jam said, Valorant seems a little too try-hardy at the moment for my taste, plus it has too much of a Counter-Strike feel needlessly, like the money system. There's no need why you should spend extra cash to buy your weapon and armor. They could have also had any other system or skin for acquiring the gear of your toys out each round, like computer chips or energy orbs or whatever, a slightly different system to CS. NVIDIA says, well, it was pretty obvious that they were going for CS's road, so it makes sense to keep all the systems that CS players enjoyed. Yeah, I think that's, like, it's pretty, like, I haven't played it because I don't have access to it, but yeah, it's most likely pretty much they're going for CSGO, which, hey, if you want to go for it, go for it. I like more competition when it comes to different games. But yeah, I think that we've rounded off on, like, the Twitch drops acquisition state of the thing.
Yeah, let's talk about the other part.
Let's talk about the titular topic. Let's talk about the big thing that's got everyone riled up right now. The bloody anti-cheat, or the great anti-cheat, depending on where you're coming from. So, as we said before, like, the Valorant, this game is, like, really excited about being anti-cheat. And really fast. But they're very excited about anti-cheat. They're not kidding about the anti-cheat, since users on Reddit have already discovered that the anti-cheat system that's being installed is our driver that starts when you turn your computer on. You don't even have the game open. It will just be on when you start up your computer. To turn it off, you either need to change the name of the driver file so it won't load on a restart, or you can just completely uninstall the driver. However, it will be reinstalled again when you open the game. Now, it runs, as they say, on ring 0 of the Windows kernel, which means that it has the same rights as an administrator from the moment you boot it. For comparison, other systems like BattleEye or Easy Anti-Cheat both load only when you're opening the game and unload when you've closed it. So that is an interesting thing. And when asked about it, Riot Games responded by saying, well, we run this driver at like the startup, so like it doesn't scan anything unless the game is started. It's assigned to take up very few system resources, so you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't communicate with servers. It's just there and it's running. You can remove it at any time you like, but the game will not consider the computer trusted if the driver isn't there from startup. So if you want to play the game, you have to restart your computer, and only then you can play it. This is good. This is a good thing for stopping cheaters because, as they say, a common way to bypass anti-cheat systems is to start up the systems before loading into the game. And now, because we always monitor your computer, you can't do that before then. And the Vanguard driver does not collect or send any information about your computer back to us. Any cheat detection scans will be run by the non-driver component when the game is running. So that's kind of what they're saying. They're saying that, like, we have this thing on all the time so that, like, cheaters can't, like, load something before they start the game, and you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't take up resources. It doesn't communicate unless you play the game. But in response, people have pointed out that, well, you have this piece of software which cannot be turned off, and that runs with, like, administrative privileges nonstop on your system. Like, you have this very in-control program that's on your system the entire time. If someone finds a way to crack that, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And, yeah, are we going to trust, like, Riot Games to create this piece of software, which is sitting here at very high privileges on our system, to not, like, gather our information and make a piece of software which can't be hacked? Or can it? It's like it's basically you're installing a backdoor for them, maybe, if someone can crack the system. Those are some concerns that have been pointing it out. So that's an entirely interesting situation and it's been a reason for a lot of people to just like give up on Valorant, and a thing where the developers are kind of like, we defending this thing. They're like, suck it up. This is what we're gonna do. So yeah. Anti-cheat. How far should it go? Would you be willing to install an anti-cheat system like that, Drew? That will always be on your computer with like elevated priorities the entire time.
This is a really good question. A part of me says yes, because I used to play a lot of Heroes of the Storm. Again, because of the whole PvP nature of my friends. I love them to bits, but if they ever got too salty or toxic, because we played a PvP game and we lost, it would demotivate me, and I think, oh my god, that's a waste of an evening. Then we'd just play bot games instead. But people would cheat by having people use bots for their accounts, which is against the T's and C's. You can easily identify who they are because they would not talk to you. They would run everywhere rather than use their mounts. There was really obvious things that would indicate that this player is not a person, it is a bot, right? That's macro controlling the PC, right? So I can appreciate the value of having anti-cheat tools. I can appreciate the value of Riot Games making their own anti-cheat system, right? For those who don't know, I am I'm DevOps at my company. I actually manage the servers for my company, and I do a lot of research into security. Likewise, I have my own servers, and it's hilarious when people try to break into the server. I do not run WordPress. I will never run WordPress. WordPress is a steaming pile of shit. The number of people that try to break into a server using exploits that are exclusive to WordPress is hilarious. And in fact, what I do is I null bomb the shit out of them, right? So typically, it's not a person that tries to break into your server. It is another server trying to break into your server. Then when they have worked out how to do it, those details are then forwarded onto the person that created the
hacking server.
Exactly. And then they will break into your server and do all sorts of weird and wonderful, nasty shit to it, right? So what a null bomb is that we detect you are trying to break in. We tell you you're going to receive 8 gig of zero data, right? So it's just all zeros, right? You're going to receive 8 gig of zeros, and then here's the start of the file. We then slam the firewall on, and then they download 8 gig into RAM, and it breaks their server. All right? Don't try and fucking hack me. Right?
That is a cool method.
It's not the only method, but it's important to recognize the concerns that people are raising, right? If someone manages to use an exploit in this anti-cheat software, this anti-cheat driver that Riot have created, yes, it could do some serious damage. But people also have to recognize that my brain's just frozen entirely, sorry.
Well, okay, I think you might be trying to say that, like, preventing cheats within a game, especially PvP game.
No, that's not what I'm trying to say. People have to recognize that Windows has been caught out, Microsoft has been caught out time and time again for some serious exploits, right?
Oh, okay.
The day Windows 7 stopped receiving support, NASA reported a serious problem with Windows 10.
Wow.
Right? The very same day, NASA went, you guys know that there's a huge exploit in your OS, right? You gonna fix this now? You know, we told you about it. You're gonna fix it now that we made it public? Oh, you are? Awesome, thanks. You know, and so if people want to get into your computer, they'll find a fucking way, right? I am going to think that some people that are raising concerns about this anti-cheat software are people that want to cheat, right?
Well, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
So, like, one thing the video has already pointed out, that, like, the great intrusive anti-cheat software that couldn't last for 7 days without being subverted. So, like, that so great the program isn't all that great. But, like, the thing that I feel personally is that this would be something which I would not like to install a game for, because I am fine with anti-cheat software when I'm running a game. I think that most of the time, like, people do find ways around it, but it's good to have it in place as long as it doesn't, like, destroy your computer. However, an anti-cheat system, like, if it runs the entire time and has, like, very high privileges on my computer, it's like, what does it do? Why is it there? And they're saying, like, okay, so as long as you run your PC, like, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't transmit any data, it just doesn't do anything. It's like, yeah, well, why is it running then? So it does do something. It is there monitoring something, some data, and it might not send it while the game isn't active, but it's monitoring something, and it's, like, checking with like the main server once you, like, start up the game, checking whether it's valid. So, like, it is keeping an eye on you. Maybe it doesn't send the data when you're not playing the game, but when you start the game, it might just send the data to it. And, like, maybe it's not that very important. However, I think that over the last decade, we've kind of, like, had this thing which was called our data, and we didn't know that there was any price to it. We didn't know that there was any value to it, so we happily gave it up for free services, free social media, free games, all that sort of stuff. And I think that right now we're seeing that, especially when it comes to like you're just like texting with someone about like trying like oh, I might want to have like this game console, and then all of a sudden you're seeing ads for that game console. Like it's like like I'm not really the biggest fan of just giving my data away for whatever and not concerning myself about it. And when this thing comes around and says like, hey, we're just going to be on your computer all the fucking time, all the time, even if you're not playing the game, then I'm kind of like, well, hold on there. Like, one, why do you need to be on all the time? Two, if you say you're not like communicating or sending any data or anything while the game is not active, then why you're on? So like clearly there's something there that like maybe their PR trick is saying like, yeah, no, it's not sending data when the game's not running, but it will send the data of past hours when like your game is running. And like fourthly, like the thing where it's like, hey, you have this piece of software. I'm not saying that like it will allow people to like do things with your computer. But like there have been really like people find ways around things through pieces of software, and if you have this piece of software which is always on all the PCs installed that have this game, hey, that's a great interesting point for people to hack through. So like
so I think a lot of the biggest concern, which is what you're saying, is the always being on thing.
Yes.
Right. I think that is a justifiable concern, right? Like when I turn off as much as physically possible to stop starting up in the background of my PC whenever I turn on my PC, right? That is whenever I've set up a new computer, that is the first port of call, is make sure shit ain't turning on that shouldn't be turning on, right? So I can appreciate that. The next thing is the data. I am not concerned about what's it called? Riot getting data of what you are doing at any point in time. Like, do you have Cortana turned on?
No, I have that turned off.
A lot of people have it turned on. A lot of people don't even know what it is.
Well,
right?
It's been for me a reason to stick with Windows 8 as long as I could, because like my main PC, like the PC that like I'm streaming from, is still Windows 8. The only reason that this laptop has Windows 10 is because I couldn't get a Windows 8 laptop at the time. I really dislike having like the Cortana thing on there, because like that's this personal assistant thing, which is just like, hey, we're listening in all the time, so that you can like say like, go here. And then like I will misinterpret it 2 times until I get you to the right place, while I could also just like click and go there. And it's like it just seems like a big breach of like a big invasion of privacy for very little reward. I don't like it, and I can't turn it off. Like even now, if you turn it off, it's still running as a background process in Task Manager, and I don't like that.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Open up Task Manager, like you will see Cortana being on.
Where?
Let me.
Is it called Cortana?
Yes, it is. It should be under background processes.
Shit, it is.
Yes, it's always on. Like unless you go for like a really complicated way of removing it, you might have a 50-50 chance. I don't know if numbers are accurate, but like you might have a chance of like deleting it entirely.
But it says it's suspended. The process is suspended.
Yeah, there will be like a leaf behind it, but like if you say like end task, it will just turn back on. So like it's always kind of like on. I'm not a big fan of it. Like I've always been, especially like I've even had that with Windows 8. Like I want my operating system, I want my PC to just be my PC. And then when Windows 8 came around, it was like, log in with my Windows account, log in with your Facebook account, log in. I'm like, no, I just want an operating system. I just want this thing to be a local thing which I operate. If I want to connect to the internet, I'll use the internet. And the thing with games is like, I just want to play this game. I don't want it to go over everything. Not that like I'm afraid that it will like look over my files and like tell me what I'm doing and what kind of like porn I'm watching on my computer. It's like, no, that's not necessarily what I'm worried about. It's just like I don't want to have like if I have a choice of having that on or not having that on, I'd rather not have that on. And then like the choice becomes like, well, what do I get in return for having something which I don't know exactly what it does all the time, being constantly on and monitoring my computer all the time? What do I get in return? It's a free to play game with money. It's still doing like the what's the word for it? The freemium model, where like, oh, you can pay money for like cosmetics, like all that sort of stuff. It's like, yeah, no, I don't think that's worth it. I don't think that trade off in my mind is worth it at all. And like I'm perfectly fine with having anti cheat when like the anti cheat like starts when the game starts. Fine, 100% down with it. I don't like cheaters at all. Even like I've been playing a bit of Modern Warfare 2. I really enjoy that game. I think it's an awesome game. I love the maps. I think the re-releases, I thought they were dumb. I'm like, dude, I still have the game on PlayStation 3. That thing runs fine. But one thing that I've discovered is all these games, they're all modded as shit because everyone is like hacking the game and trying to like do their own like aimbot dumb shit. And like, I don't want to have that. So now I'm forced to like buy the remaster because people just fucked it up with hacking it. So like, I'm not in favor of hacking things. That being said, anti-cheat systems, most of the time, seem to kind of be in the same category as like DRM systems, which like it works in deterring, but people will always find a way around it. So like, hey, this system is gonna be subverted. People are gonna find a way around it. People are gonna hack it. So yeah.
I also feel that there is some value in talking about DRM systems. Like, so when you told me that this was the topic, I went to go find out the name of the infamous DRM, Demovo. So a lot of games and things run Demovo as a method of anti-piracy. And I can appreciate that. I remember back in the day, it was so much easier to pirate video games than it was to try and go to the local game store, which may be like 2 cities away, and try and buy the game. But what was the
mofo.
But with the introduction of things like Steam and stuff, where it had to check to see if you're online, like that's fine. I have heard loads of people talk about Demovo and say like it destroys SSDs, right? I have not experienced this. I have played several games with Demovo, right? I have not personally experienced it, but the fact that there is this anti-piracy software out there, this anti-cheat stuff, that just makes people like, spend extra amounts of money to accommodate this bullshit, poorly written software. No wonder there is a greater incentive for things like piracy, right?
Yeah, well, like,
I mean,
that's the thing where it's like, these anti-DRM things, what you're talking about, are exactly like the thing that I feel about with this anti-cheat system. It's like, yeah, you need to have these things in place because otherwise people will just be making copies of the game and just like, it'd be bad. It'd be a bad situation. Yeah. I don't want people to like pirate all these games. I don't want people to like cheat on all these games. However, these systems are gonna be hacked. Ultimately, people will find a way around it. Now, when it comes with DRM games, like when it comes to like the DRM side of things, like most likely like there might be a back and forth, but ultimately like what you find with a lot of like older titles like 10 years ago, people will find a way around it, and like it is in circulation if you know where to look. But when it comes to anti-cheat, like they will always kind of like try to update that because like having cheaters in your game is not great, especially in a PvP game. So yes, there'll be more on it, but still, it's like if in the situation, especially with the anti-DRM thing, if the situation is such that it's more beneficial for me to have the pirated DRM-free software because it doesn't destroy my computer because I don't get the negative effects from it. I've seen many stories, especially through videos from Jim Sterling and other like forums and blog posts where like people were talking about like, well, this DRM does this thing does that thing, like it lowers my frame rate, it makes my game perform worse. It's like, well, what kind of cost are you given to the people that are actually legitimately wanting to play your game? What kind of like burden are you giving them in order to like scare off? Because that's basically what you're doing. You're scaring off people that want to do bad. Because if like ultimately everything that's created by man will be able to be defeated by man. So like it's this game where it's like, hey, like this will not be impenetrable. People will find a way to penetrate it. So is it worth it to be like on 24/7 as long as your computer is on? Like I don't think no. And it's like I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Jasperry Gem here says in chat, this might be a stupid idea, but how about having paid jobs of moderators that come and inspect ongoing games if anyone, let's say, reports a player? I saw you respond to that, like how many people would you want to hire, hypothetically? Jasperry Gem says, depends on the game. For a game like Battle Royale, there's like 100 people per match. Not that many are needed. The more matches can be played at the same time, the more people would need to be hired, theoretically.
So, but like, let's throw some numbers around, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, let's give them not the greatest pay in the world. Let's just say that they earn £20,000 a year, right? If you were to hire just 10 people, that's £200,000 a year, right? You have to find the budget for £200,000, right? How many games are those 10 people going to be able to moderate? Right.
I think you would have to work with like an algorithmic system where it comes like what do cheaters want? Like what are people gonna cheat for? And most likely it's gonna be for faster ranking, faster points gain, more kills.
But how do you identify that someone is cheating? Do you go just based on reports? So if someone says that person,
I would go on partly reports, but I would largely go on like data. So like if one person goes from like performing very poorly to somehow all of a sudden boom, increasing very much in score, or like having perfect like precision, like that would just send up a flag, and that's something which would be then open for manual review. And if that is then decided to be a like if there is like question, like you could give them a warning, or you could give them a short ban, and if they respond and it's like this is one thing, like I'm not in favor of a completely automated system, because what you see with YouTube or what you see with Blizzard games is like the bot suspects something, you're banned, we're not even going to talk about it, bye. I hate that, but I think that for such a large scale, and especially what you're talking about, like having to hire so many people to like govern things, like I think with an algorithm, this is something which you can very cost effectively do, but then you will have to have like the human factor at the end of the results, where it's like, hey, if this was just someone that was legitimately good, they should not have to suffer because the bot flagged them. But I think that like you can do something very well with bot flagging, because like how is it that like this is the only game that has the need for such a big ass program that's on like the entire time, and all the other like legacy PvP things that are like already here, like the things that have already been established, don't need that.
What do you mean that they don't need that?
Like CS:GO doesn't have a program that's on on the entire time on your computer. Other PvP
no, it doesn't have one on the entire time, but I'm pretty sure it has one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it uses anti-vac.
Yeah, but like I'm fine with having it on while I'm playing. I'm like, why would it need to be on the entire time?
No, I don't think that's up for dispute, right? I think at this point in time we're talking about what's the difference between having a system of people that are moderating versus an automated system.
Okay. So I would never say do away with all the automated systems and just have people on there, because then you would have to have people on every match. That would be insane. But I think that like if you were to say like, hey, we're not happy with just having an anti-cheat system like in all the other games there are while the game is running, and we want to have something more, then I would say then have an algorithm that goes over, like I believe they might already do that, but like have an algorithm that goes over like player data, have a learning algorithm that goes over that, so that it looks for certain data points that change or that are like indicative of cheating bot behavior, and then have a manual review over that, and if it's wrong, it gets an input that it's wrong, and it learns from that, and it can adapt to that, and then
I'll come to that in a minute. I just want to address like some of the points that are raised. So imagine you have a staff of 10 people to moderate it manually. We said 200,000, right? The next point was raised in chat. surely it would cost that much for a developer to build an an anti-cheat system. So imagine, for example, we have a moderately well-paid, quite a well-paid developer earning 50,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
I would assume a month would be plenty to develop one of these systems, right? Like just a separate program that looks out for all these different ways of cheating. That comes to 4.1 thousand pounds, right? Which is significantly less than 200,000.
Yeah.
Right. One automated system to monitor every match, every computer, every player versus 10 people that can monitor 10 games at any one time.
Yeah.
Right. Going on to the algorithm side, well, that's how we determine this stuff. We have an automated system that detects cheating. It is good to have the automated system not only on the client, but also on the server, hoping servers are in fact involved. Now, if it's Riot Games, I cannot imagine dedicated servers are not involved. Look at bloody League of Legends. That's how it's good. Sorry. Apologies. League of Legends has dedicated servers up the wazoo. So does every Blizzard game under the sun. Dedicated servers everywhere. So, but you also have to respect the fact that with these algorithms, when you're checking this, you are affecting the game on the server, right? You're saying, right, I am moving this character from this place to that place. If you have to validate that data, that could slow down the gameplay. That could create an artificial lag. Or you have to pay through the nose to have a higher capacity server so that it can perform the calculations faster and do the validation. Ignoring that, I can completely understand the value of having this, what's the name of the damn thing? Anti-cheat stuff on the client computer. Makes perfect sense. What doesn't make perfect sense is having the damn thing on 24/7. I think it would make more sense if it was on 24/7 if it didn't have root admin privileges, right? But Windows 10s, yeah, two things, two plurals, stupid. Windows 10's permission system is so anally retentive, right? I can imagine you would need to have it on the admin ring, right? On the admin privilege level. Because in order to get a web browser to have access to a webcam, access to a microphone, before you would just go, yes, allow, it's fine. Now in Windows 10, you have to go to settings, and then there's a privacy thing, if memory serves. Or is it account? There's it's privacy, and then what has access to the microphone, what has access to the camera, and it's just like, what the legitimate hell is this?
Well, Windows 10 is an absolute mess, and like on the one hand, it's probably the most stable form of Windows, like the one that we've had for the longest time, and like they're kind of dedicated to keeping it this way. But I don't like it at all because like the one weird thing, I hope I'm not gonna show things that I'm not supposed to show here, but I think I will be fine as long as I set this up like this. So this right here is a Windows 10 machine, and let me show you one of the biggest problems with it is Windows. Like this is a perfect example of it. Windows settings. So what you're looking at right now is what used to be the control panel. So normally you'd go to like the control panel and you'd be able to like control everything. You can still go to control panel. You just have to like type in control panel and it won't show up after you do control space P and then the control panel would show up. Now, what was great about the control panel is that it would just bring you to like the settings, the important settings. But
it gives you everything.
Yeah, but the Windows settings feature is just like a watered down thing where you can just like, oh, you can go to You can go to gaming here, and it will give you like a few options, but not everything, because we don't think you need these options. Like you don't need to know everything. You don't need to see everything. I'm like, dude, it's my fucking computer. I want to control everything about my computer. It's my computer. I want to control this thing. But it's so like dumbed down, and I hate that. It's like this. I don't know. I don't know if you would call it the Appleization, but it kind of makes me feel like the iPhone, where it's like, well, we'll let you control some features, but not all of them, because you're not smart enough for that. We build our company from making computers in our garage, but no, you don't want to open up your phone. No, you don't want to change a setting. No, you don't want to do that. You're too dumb for that. You can't do that. No. You just want to have like a couple of decent. Don't worry about anything else. And I really don't like that. Maybe, as what you're saying, with Windows being this weird and crazy, like the only way that they can make this work is putting it in the Ring 0, like the most privileged kernel, and like making it work like that. But like, it's pretty much like, it's like the way that it feels, it feels like is like, if right now, with people staying at home, like people will have to make exams at home, right? And people are like, schools are trying to figure out, how do we do that? How do we make sure that people don't cheat while they're doing a test? And one thing they're proposing is like, okay, everyone will have to like download an app on their phone, and then like they put the phone behind them, and they have a webcam turned on. So while they're doing the test, like they'll have like a camera on the back of them and a camera on the front of them, and then like the teacher can check whether people have like a notepad besides them. Like that's an idea that has been proposed. But like, that's like, honestly, that sounds fair to me, because like you need to like keep track of people. Like there is a bit of idea of like, hey, do you allow everyone to look into your room? But as far as you're like, if it's only on while you're doing the test and you're aware that this will be happening during your test, you can clean up your room. You can sit in a space which is like sterilized and clean, and you don't have to worry about it. That sounds fair. But what if right now, like Riot exams comes along, and they're like, okay, yeah, we want to check on you during your exam so you don't cheat. But for that, we're just going to install cameras throughout your entire house everywhere. And we're not going to check on them. Don't worry about it. No. We will not look at your data. We will not transmit your data. We'll not transmit any images from those cameras. It will only transmit when you're playing the game, when you're doing the exam. It will only transmit when you're doing the exam. But the reason we have them on all the time is to see whether you're not cheating before or after the test. But we'll not transmit that data, but they do need to be on all the time. It's like, I don't believe that. I believe that you are looking at that data only when you start up the game. But it's like, no, I don't want to have all you monitoring everything I do, and having like rank 0 access to everything, because I play your stupid game. It's like, no, I don't think that's worth it. It's not worth it. That payoff is completely not worth it. And I'm curious who thinks that it is worth it.
But what about targeted advertising? With the fact that, as you said earlier, you write a text message about a game, and then all of a sudden you get an advert about the game. Like, why does, like, if part of the terms and conditions to play the game is you have to have the software installed, like, then if you don't agree with the terms and conditions, you shouldn't. Like, do you have the right to complain about, these are the terms and conditions. If you don't agree with them, then you can't play the game. Right?
Actually, I don't know. I don't think so.
Likewise, terms and conditions of using the tech software on your phone. We monitor the shit that you talk about in your phone. Like, do you have a right to complain?
No, because you accept it. You can get rid of it. It's like actually, yeah, you raise a valid point there. I think that, like, I'd like to think that we're discussing the idea, but I think that when it comes to people saying, "Oh, we don't like this, we're not gonna play the game," it's like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna play the game because of this, because I don't like the idea.
I mean,
but it's not gonna ruin the game, because
realistically, okay, so we know of Copper. Right? The whole child data protection out in the States, right? And companies have to abide by that, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The government is who enforces that. Yeah? The American government say, if you don't pull your shit together, we are going to sue the crap out of you. They sued Google for 170 million because they were in breach of the whole child data protection, right?
Mhm.
So if shit like this keeps happening, realistically, our government should be the ones to our governments plural should be the ones to actually protect our rights to prevent companies like Apple, like Google, like Amazon, like Riot Games, like Microsoft. You just freaking pluck a
Well,
company out of the hat.
well, let me.
But the governments are the ones that should be able to say, right, you cannot force this on people. Microsoft, for example, refused to actually remove Internet Explorer from their operating systems because it was integrated into the OS, right? As a result, they had a monopoly because they could sell the operating system, and companies that made web browsers, like Netscape, for anyone that remembers them, right, couldn't sell their web browsers anymore.
Yeah, but let me raise 2 points to that. Number one, lobbying. Number two, Article 13. So the first point with lobbying is that like a lot of big companies also have big stakes in governments. So like they will most of the time lobby against certain regulations. Look at things like loot boxes, for example, where right now, like actually this week, in Europe right now, if you buy a game where there might be loot boxes or random items involved, there will be a little text on the box that says there might be random paid items in here, which has been like kind of like 2, 3 years, 4 years too late. It's been heavily fought over by the terms of by the likes of EA that called them surprise mechanics. But yeah, like that is something where like they'll lobby against it, and that will take time. And number two, Article 13, the thing that I want to point out with that is a lot of times I am really wondering whether like the governments that are in place right now have much of an idea of what is going on with the internet and how the internet, like how to deal with it, because a lot of it, like let's like take for example Article 14 with it, which has been like a European legislation which makes like websites responsible for the content that's being uploaded. So like when it comes to like copyright, if I were to upload something to, let's say, YouTube, like it's still getting into effect. So like there's stuff like 1 or 2 years like European countries have to comply to that. But basically, if I were to like in 2 years upload something to YouTube and it would have like a bit of a movie in there, then the movie company could sue YouTube because YouTube is like responsible. It makes no sense. It's absolutely bollocks. These people have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And you see that time and time again. Same with COPPA. The same thing with COPPA is like it's a good thing to protect like children's privacy. I think like we can all agree on that. And I think that Google has made a big ass mistake with YouTube where they said like, okay, we have this hard limit of 13 years or older. Otherwise, you can't access like the main YouTube website. You can only go to YouTube Kids. But then they were like very happy. It's like, oh yeah, we have on main YouTube. We have so many children watching. Everyone is watching for their parents' accounts. It's so cool. Come advertise here. It's like, dude, are you dumb? Are you stupid? Is this?
No, I am gonna. You're right about the whole government's just slap happy. Oh,
Yeah.
this is a new law. Oh, this is a good law. That's a bad law. I completely agree with you on the haphazard approach that most governments have. I will defend YouTube on the other hand, because how can you prevent people misusing a service? Right?
Well, okay,
How can
so this is okay. So actually, that would have been a very good reason, and I'm 100% in favor of it. I would say everyone that uses YouTube will have to agree to the terms of service that they are 13 years or older, and if they're not, then it's their fault. Then YouTube couldn't have done anything about it. However, YouTube
not if the government says otherwise.
yeah,
That's
but the reason why they said otherwise was because YouTube has tried this in their defense. They've tried to say, hey, we say we an age of 13. We say an age group of 13. However, the government said to that, like the U.S. government said to that, yeah, well, you say that, but over the last few years, you've been advertising proudly how on your YouTube main site you have so many kids watching. So, like, because they were proudly like advertising that, like, look at YouTube main where everyone has to be 13 or up. Look at how many kids we have watching here. Please, advertisers, come advertise here because we have so many kids watching. That the U.S. government said, like, well. You're kind of
how do you know that? Right. Okay. That was something I was unaware of. And fair enough. That's sorry, YouTube, you fucked up on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, what was the origin to this?
Well, basically,
Monetary
like you said that like
governments.
governments should be here to protect the rights.
Personally, I feel that I don't think there is realistically one story which any one citizen could be proud of a local party leader doing something in favor for maybe Boris Johnson when he was mayor of London with the whole Boris Bikes thing. But I think that there are numerous tales of how people will use one thing as a like. Okay, so I remember um, this is a story from my father. So I, please take that into account in what I'm telling you. When um, when I was a kid, there was a terrible bus accident where a kid ended up dying, and this was because the bus had wheels that were 20 years old, right? They were falling to pieces. They were not maintained properly, and the mother of the child died,
Mhm.
took this to their their party member and said, look, like, please, you've got to enforce this. You've got to make sure that buses are safe and responsible for our kids. I don't want anyone else to go through what I've gone through, so on and so forth. And the political member, the party member, gained a lot of press with this campaign.
Mhm.
And he got on his soapbox. He got the position of being MP for that region, and he brought in a new bill that stated that buses couldn't have wheels that were over 20 years old.
Mhm.
Do you not see the problem with that? The wheels shouldn't be 20 months old, not 20 years.
The thing is it is okay. I'm gonna say that I feel I feel very strongly about the statement that democracy is the worst way of governing a country, except for all the others. But the thing is that right now, the way that people get in power, or the way that like our countries work, it's all one giant popularity contest. So I've been like, I was really into politics when I was like 13, 14, 15. I thought it was greatly interesting, like reading all the political parties and like, who would I vote for if I could vote? It sounded so awesome. But what I've discovered in the later years, especially right now, is that like when it comes to like running a country, I think like part of me feels it's also very similar to running a company, because you gotta make sure you manage a whole bunch of people, like even more so because you also gotta make sure that like it's not just like, oh, I can't lay people off, because like it's literally people in your country. You gotta make sure you find the best way to like lead this great bunch of people, like this insane amount of people, to a way that's better for all of them. So it's a very complicated task, and you're faced with like, you have everyone in the country that you can choose from to form your government with. However, what ends up happening is not that like, if I look at campaigns, if I look at like political campaigns, if I look at like what governments are trying to do, what kind of bills they're trying to push, it's always like, oh, we're gonna like one phrase slogan this, one phrase slogan that. We are going to do this. We are going to make the economy better. We are going to make life better. We're going to make the worst thing less worse. And it's like the same thing here. Like the slogan was, oh, remember the story where the 20-year-old wheels killed a kid? We're not going to allow 20-year-old wheels anymore. Haha. Yeah. But it's like, no, like the thing that I feel, especially like when it comes to like voting and elections and like the entire like governing thing, it's like, if you're trying to convince me to vote for you, bring up your points, bring up everything that you want to change, bring up everything that you want to work with, what you want to do, but don't bring it to me in like one paragraph and like a one paper pamphlet. Cite the studies, cite your studies, Give me your considerations.
Yeah.
Why do you consider giving so many million? Like, why do you consider giving 10 million to this and not 11 million or 10.5 million?
So
Why do you get to this budget? And I absolutely don't like this entire idea of like, we're parties. I'm part of this party.
So I wanna jump in. I get where you're going. I'm in complete agreement with you.
Yeah.
A large part of me was thinking mere moments ago that maybe anyone that wants to be a party member or whatever, or someone in government, they actually have to have some qualification. Like they have to have like a degree in science. They have to have a degree in maths. They have to, something to actually prove that they can do the research. But in all honesty, like if you did that, then there's no way in hell that they would become a political leader. What I feel is that we should have not a governing body, but like, how we have local education. Sorry, no, you don't. In the UK, we have local educational authorities, right? They are a governing body that determines what the curriculum is for the schools, right?
Yeah.
Likewise, I feel that there should be a governing body that is not influenced by a political leader that advises on the best interests of the public when it comes to technology, right? Things like you cannot prevent someone from using the text message service if they do not agree to allow for targeted advertisement, right? That's not fair, right? Because every single phone has this now on them. Like, what are you supposed to do about it, right?
Well, most likely, what the thing is that like WhatsApp uses it because like WhatsApp is a Facebook on something. So like, hey, you use that, like you can voluntarily download that or not use that, but because so many people have it, like you kind of use it all the time. But like then it comes down to this is a private company where people can choose to install it. Like that's the important thing. It's a free service that people can choose to install. So if they don't want it, that's what like WhatsApp will say, like, or Facebook will say. Like if they don't want it, they can get rid of it. It's like it's their choice.
See, but WhatsApp is an optional thing, right? Whereas Google Messenger is not an optional thing for the ability to send. I cannot download another piece of software to send text messages, right? On my phone. I can only use the Google Messenger that is part of the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not quite aware of how, like, whether it takes up whether the same algorithms are at play there, because like that is the text that goes directly to your service provider. But it could be like I'm not saying it is.
But you get my point. Yeah. So like I feel, for example, right, this anti-cheat software, right? This governing body could turn around and say, right, you could only have this anti-cheat software not on the admin, like the top level permissions, right? And it could only be running while the software that you're monitoring is being run, right? To protect the user's best interests. Because, we're talking about this. We have a lot of experience with this, but kids that are into hero shooters like Overwatch aren't necessarily going to know about this. What if the kid ends up playing on their father? Like when I was a kid, I used to play computer games on my dad's computer, right? I wasn't old enough to have my own computer. What if I go and download Valorant? Is that the name of the game again? Yeah. Well, I go download Valorant, install it and everything. And then all of a sudden, my father's computer gets destroyed because someone's backdoored in. Yeah. Right?
Honestly, like this is also something which I feel like I don't know how it's in their terms of service, but I'm really curious because now that you force people to install your like rank 0 program that's going to be on 24/7 as Riot Games, like if someone were to like backdoor that and like hijack like a bunch of computers, like what's going to prevent people, unless it's in the terms of service, to make a giant ass claim? Because like it's your software that allow people to like get into their computer and like lose valuable assets. But yeah, you make a very good point. It's like again, but then again, like this is one game, one case, and what we've seen with EA and loot boxes. Like loot boxes were far more prevalent than this, and look at what happened with loot boxes. Like parents had to pay so much money for children that just spend money on loot boxes, not knowing that were loot boxes and it cost real money, and they just like spend, and it cost years for people to even stand up about it. And now, when loot boxes have kind of fallen out of favor because people really, really don't like them since that Star Wars game, 2 years fucking later, like the ESRB and like the PEGI come around and say, oh yeah, we'll write like one line on like our boxes saying like, oh, there might be like random paid items in here. It's like, it takes the longest time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too fucking late. Like, you know, you could have caught up with this one a little bit sooner.
Yeah, so like I get where you're coming from with like bringing it back to what you said is like you can't really complain if you agree with the terms of service and you have the thing installed. So the only one that can like really like put things to restraints is like the government. But a lot of times they're kind of slow. I feel. So like I personally think that like I'm like for me it's a big issue. I'm probably not going to install it for this. Because like I feel there's a couple of things which I do not agree with where I'm like, you know, that doesn't make sense with like especially where it's like we don't collect data when it's not on, but it needs to be on all the time because otherwise like the other programs only collect data when the game is on. It's like, yeah, so then why does it need to be on all the time if you're not collecting data? So like I'm like, it doesn't sit right with me. The high privilege access doesn't sit right by me. I don't like that. I can choose not to install it. Now, will this make a big difference? People might say, yes, it will, because we'll rise up as gamers, and we'll be like, oh my god, we don't like this thing, we'll not play your game, you're gonna learn. No, that never fucking works. No one ever has boycotted a game successfully, because people will not fucking care. There's more people that will not give a shit about this, that will just play the game, and that's fine. That's fine.
I don't know about that, because look, I remember distinctly the backlash of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Was it Battlefront 2? Where the Reddit's most downvoted post ever. Do you remember this?
Yeah, but okay, so this is Reddit's most downvoted post ever, and that only got like some European governments. I remember the Belgian government to like banish loot boxes, but not all of the governments. And 2 years later, it took them 2 or 3 years after that thing where it was Reddit's most downvoted post for like the governments, the PEGI and the ESRB to be like random items involved on the box. So like this big thing didn't really change all that much. It's just that like at that time, like it got to like a mainstream level where like even like random news sources, mainstream news sources, and parents were talking about it, that like developers were kind of like, let's just kind of back off of this and let's just go on cosmetics, which aren't loot boxes, but cosmetics, paid items. It's like there were so many games before that had this loot box thing where people still spoke up about it, but like for some reason, like Star Wars Battlefront 2 was just like perfect play, right timing, right like perfect place, perfect timing sort of thing. But like there were so many cases before that where people were upset, where they were like, why are there loot boxes in this game now? I don't like this. I'm gonna quit. And like these games just continue to succeed. So like 9 out of 10 times, it's not working.
Just to put my 2 cents in, I have zero issue with loot boxes. I have issue with loot boxes in games I have paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, you know, if I had to buy Star Wars Battlefront 2 and then, oh, look, loot boxes, fuck off. Right? Yeah. Overwatch. You buy Overwatch, fucking loot boxes, piss off. Right? I remember watching, I'm going to name. I'm not going to be that cruel. I remember watching Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, you know, and he opened hundreds and hundreds of loot boxes on YouTube. And like, okay, that's your choice, but how much money have you just pissed away? It's not right. If the game is free to play, I have no issue with loot boxes. It is a method of earning money through microtransactions. But if you've got a payment for the title in the region of 50 quid and then you have loot boxes on top, fuck right off.
actually, like,
Not
I,
really.
I largely share your sentiment. Where it's like I really don't like the double thing. If I already paid for it and I have to do it, like then there's paid mechanics. Fuck that. But I have to say that I'm not opposed to like developers or people earning money for spending efforts into something. Like that's fine. Everyone should earn money for like the things that they do. But the thing that I'm like the thing that I struggle with, especially when it comes to these free to play games, and like the thing that you brought up about like the kid that installs this thing on their dad's laptop situation. Like a lot of these people that are playing free to play games are kids. This is something where over the last 10 years, the last 20 years, we've discovered that data, which we did not think was very valuable, turned out to be very valuable. Um, and in the same way that we've seen kids play mobile games and spend hundreds of dollars on like premium currencies, to these kids, like these premium currencies don't seem to hold any value, but they do. And I think that a lot of these free to play games or free to play services online have like take value from you, but you're not aware of it, and they play very good psychological tricks on it. So like this is the thing. This is the thing when it comes to like if I go to the store and I buy a game, like the transaction is very transparent. I have $60. The game wants $60 from me, and then I get the game. Like that's a fair, transparent transaction. Like it will throw a little bit of a cover art on it. Maybe it will do some advertisements, but it's pretty cut and dry. Like what it is, what I get, and what I pay. However, when it comes to like free to play services, when it comes to free services, when it comes to free to play games, what you find is that especially a lot of kids, because I remember I was looking for free to play games all the time when I was a kid because I had no money and I just wanted to play games. Like you're looking for games as a kid because you want to play something but you don't have money. And these games present themselves as you can play this game if you don't have money. But while you're playing, we're gonna like entice you as much as we can for you to spend as much money as you can, and it will never be enough. So when it was with loot boxes, like where there were the gambling tricks and like continuing to pay on, or even when it's not with loot boxes, when it's with complete free to play services where like it's premium currency, you're constantly being enticed to like buy this premium bundle, buy this premium pack. Oh, look at these players here that are like in the lobby that have like better gear than you. You could buy that actually. Like there are so many tricks at play where the transaction is so muddled and encouraged with underlying psychological tricks on people that enter this game or this service with the idea of I want to play something for free. A lot of people that aren't even aware that this thing is going on, where it's very well crafted in this thing where it's like we're gonna continue to keep you like engaged. We're gonna give you a hook, then we'll make it a hobby, then we'll make it a hobby, and then we're just gonna like try and get your money. It's like it's a bit of a different situation. It's like yes, I agree. Like free to play games need to find a way to make their money. However, it's not a very above the table transaction. If you understand what I'm saying.
I completely agree with you. I was actually just thinking about this. One thing that I think would go leagues again, right? Leagues further. I'm assuming you know nearly everyone uses multi-factor authentication, right? You know, whenever I'm logging into my Steam account, I have a notification appear on my phone, and I just have to put in the code that appears on the phone. Likewise, the only way to log into my Yahoo account is via my phone. I put in the username, and then a thing appears on my phone. I have to press yes or no to actually get into my Yahoo account. And I have had people try to break into my account. The phone comes up with, "Are you trying to log in?" Like, no, I'm not. Right? And it just shuts them down. Right? Likewise, the whole thing with that YouTuber that had his Google account stolen, multi-factor authentication on that. I would love it if, again, we're going to the mythical technological body authority, right? Would turn. I wonder if one actually exists and we just don't know about it. I would love it if they were to turn to banks and just say, right, if one organization is requesting frequent small amounts of money, right, or one large payoff, you have to have a validation system via some other means, like a phone or a phone call or so on and so forth. because I've watched TikToks, right, which I imagine are lies. They're just fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea that they, oh, you've spent how much money on what? There's one. It's like, who spent $270 on Animal Crossing? That's one that's doing the rounds. Like, I just feel that there needs to be ways to protect the parents' money, because the parents' money isn't just for the parents, it's for the kids.
Yeah,
But if the kids have misspent the money, the parents are the ones that are liable.
yeah. Well, okay, so like, I would like, kids is a very it's a very very sensitive topic, and like I definitely think that like it's really bad if you're scamming kids out of their money. Like, fuck you. But like I don't want to limit this just to kids. Like, I think that I'm not quite aware of how to address this properly, but I think that there is like there is a big lack of general knowledge and general understanding with a huge amount of the populace, where people don't understand the value of the thing that they bring, that they provide to reserve this service for free. So when it came to like the social media of the world, when it came to like the free services that were offered like from 10 years ago till now, people didn't know that like providing your data, providing like your location, providing like when you log in, your metadata, your cookies, like that, all those things were very valuable. And for that, you got like this shitty social media site where you could chat with your friends. It's like people didn't know that was very valuable until like everyone was signed up for 10 of these different services. And at the same time, I think that like people aren't aware that like when you subscribe to a free game, when you enter a free game, that you kind of like give up, like, your trade is that you're okay, I'll play it, like I'll get this game, but in return I'll open myself up for your psychological tricks in order to get money out of me. And if people are aware of that, that's fine. But if people aren't aware of that, then that causes a bit of a problem. Now, especially when it comes to kids, when like they're spending their parents' money. But even when it comes to like adults, like I don't like, it's not that when you turn 18 that all of a sudden you realize this. And like I would say in my example, I think Warframe is a very fair game when it comes to monetization. But even so, when I played that game actively, I would always feel bad about not getting the Prime Access, which was launching every 4 months. And the biggest tier of that costs, I think, $150, around $150, $160, depending on the region that you were in. And that was for one virtual character, some in-game currency, a a gun, and like something else, and then like a little bit more. It was something, but like the game was also free to play, so like a lot of people said, well, it's free to play, and I bought a couple of them. And like, I'm not saying like that is a really bad thing. However, every time that like I bought one, I was really proud of myself, because I support the game. I got this thing. It's worth it. It's 100% worth it. And so one day someone came to me and said, do you know that for that money, you could buy 2 AAA games? Like, I think around that time was Spider-Man was like the brand new game, and whatever other like brand new games out there. And I was like, wow, if I were to go to the store and like pay for 2 brand new games, I would think that's a hell lot of money. And I would be like, whoa, hold on, I'm not just spending that. But because this game like hypes you up for this release, and because like you see everyone walking around with it, and because you like having like that big number in your premium currency amount, I'm like, oh hell yeah, oh that's fine, $150. Oh, take it again. And like that was something that made me realize, like, hold on, I need to take a step back from this, because it's actually a lot of money. And again, I think Warframe is one of the more fair games out there, but it still has these psychological tricks. And I think that is something that people aren't very aware about. Neither, like, kids are very not aware about that, but even like adults, there are many adults that are not aware about that. And I think that that's something which should be, for some way, we need to find a way to make people more aware about that they know that that's going on. If you know and you're willing to like deal with that, like that's fine. But if you're unaware, and you're falling for these psychological tricks, which are very well crafted because experts are doing it, like, yeah, that seems a bit shady.
I think I'll say my last statement on the back of that. and then we'll go to questions.
Yeah.
So if people have questions, feel free to put them in chat now, and we'll read them in a moment.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, Warframe's Prime Access is what actually stopped me from buying games, right? So I saw it as I would pay 30 quid a month because it's £90. It's like £92
Yeah.
or something. I would pay 30 quid a month and I would get tens of hours of gameplay, right? And I could spend half, if not 2/3 of that, and get something like the infamous Destiny 2 incident, right? Not worth the money. And since then, I carry a lot of weight with how much money I'm spending on a game, how many hours I'm getting out of the game, and how much do I enjoy the game, right? For example, Doom Eternal. Really enjoying playing Doom Eternal. I've just upgraded my PC. Huge performance difference. I'm going back to Nier Automata, right? When I bought Nier Automata, I think it was like 30, 40 quid, right? And I've already put 46 hours into the game. I'm about to play the game again from scratch, right? Which is another 30 hours on top, right? Dead Cells is another prime example. How much, like, oh yeah, again, that doesn't tell me the proper time because when I was offline, it didn't count it. I've bought that, and that was like 15 quid, right, when I bought it. And again, I've got like tens of hours when I could pay 60 to 90 quid on a AAA title and maybe get 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, it very much depends on the game, because I like the deal is with Warframe is that like I've enjoyed it for quite a bit, and like when you count it to the amount of hours you play, you can be like, yeah, that's a fair sum. Like I'd be happy to pay it, and like if you compare it to a Destiny situation, that's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like you pay so much money for Destiny, you play 6 hours and you're done with it. It's like then it seems more fair in the Warframe side of things. However, like I think you shouldn't judge it by just the experience that you've had with the different games that you've had, because for example, like I've bought Minecraft for $25 or whatever, like it's 20 something bucks everywhere, and like there's hours and hours and hours and hours of gameplay on there, and you're never encouraged to buy anything else or spend anything more. I've bought Persona 4 Golden years ago because like Shy tweeted that it was a cool game worth getting a Vita for, so I was like, fuck it, let me buy a Vita, let me go play this. I've like a single playthrough of that game is like 100 hours on effort if you want to like get everything. I've played through that game 4 or 5 times, and I would take it on every trip with me, and I love that game. And that was one game, $60. Never asked me to like put money down in it again or any time. Like I have gotten such a greater appreciation after spending such a long time playing free-to-play games, because that's where I started out from, because I didn't have any money or anything. I started out playing all the free-to-play games, and by far at that time Warframe was the best when I was looking for one. That's also why I stuck around with that. But spending so much time with them, I have gotten such a great appreciation for games that are like, hey, if you give me $60, I'll give you an experience, and it may be a good experience, it may be a bad experience, but I'm going to give you an experience, and I'm not going to ask anything else of you than just to enjoy yourself with my experience. And those are the games that I've gotten such a great appreciation for, because it just starts to feel at some point that like I'd like to compare it to like you have friends, and you have friends that want things from you, and that's what these games feel like. Even worse when you like pay money and they still want to have like these premium currencies and microtransactions. It's like they just feel like, hey, we're your friend now, but hey, you got $20? You got $20 maybe? Ah, no, don't worry about it. But you got $20? You got $20? It's like, it doesn't feel right. I don't like it. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Anyway.
Cool. Should we go to questions?
Yes. Let's do it.
Right. So the first question from Arturia Faith was, would you guys still buy Prime Access if you started now with the game or not? I can't answer that. I have no idea.
Why
Like
not?
you're asking me to throw away 7 years worth of experience and pretend to play Warframe now. Like I can't envision that at all.
So, have you bought the Prime Access often?
Yeah. I've bought nearly every Prime Access. The only two that I didn't buy were Rhino and Atlas.
So, does it play into account for you, or might it play into account for you when you're considering buying a Prime Access, that you have bought all of them before?
What do you mean?
Well, might it be like, like I buy every Prime Access, so
Do you
I'll buy
mean,
this one again.
have I recognized that I've spent thousands of pounds on Warframe? Yes, I do fully recognize that I've spent thousands of pounds on Warframe. But at the same time, my response is I get more enjoyment out of Warframe than I do most AA, AAA, or quasi A titles. So I'd rather put the money in a game that I do enjoy than one that I don't.
Yeah, well, like I mean more in regards to like a sunken cost in the sense of like my habit is like before I've bought every Primax except two. So like if you compare that for the very first time that you would buy a Primaxes, maybe because you've bought it every single time, it's such a habit. It's become such a habit that like the threshold is super low because like there's the thing I do every time. Where maybe if it was your very first time that you did it, there would be more consideration. Maybe that might play a part, and I was wondering about that.
No, I always recognize whether or not I can recognize whether or not I can afford it.
Mm.
To me, D haven't done anything that makes me want to never pay them again. So, like I've played plenty of mobile games. Like, what was the one I was playing? Star Trek Fleet Commander. I was
Mm.
playing a lot of that. I'm like, there's no way in fucking hell I'm putting any money in this garbage. I've played Raid Shadow Legend for a while. This is going back some time. No way on earth I put any money into that garbage. Like, again, played Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal. Freaking love both those titles. They are worth the money I've put in, but no more. Nier Automata, I'd happily throw more money at that. Dead Cells, I've bought the expansions. So I bought the expansion on both PC and Switch because, again, I love that game. I want to support it. I've spent a lot of time and effort into that. It's about the enjoyment, whether or not I get continued enjoyment from the game. Nothing else.
Yeah. So for me, let's see. Like Arturia also like refined the question a little bit. Well, how would you still buy it with the current state of the game? And I want to respond to this. I want to explain a little bit in my reasoning when it comes to would you buy it in the current state of the game. The question that you posed, like, would you still buy it in the current state of the game, would imply that like the game right now is in a worse state than it used to be before. I disagree because I think that regardless of what Warframe has done over the last few years, if you're not aware of Warframe's state, like there are podcasts before this in the FrameCast if you want to like read up on it, but like basically like they've only added on, so like the game is more like it's more expensive, but not expensive, but like there's more, it's enhanced, there's more
Expansive.
to, yeah, expensive, but like we're talking about money, so there's more to the game than there was before, so it hasn't gotten worse. However, that brings me to the thing of like identity, game identity, how much the game plays part in your identity, and I think that that's something which is really important in this question. I think that there's a large importance to people buying Prime Accesses, not buying Prime Accesses, or right now like looking into like not spending games. So would you now not spend money in the game because it's in a bad state? Like I don't think it's in a bad state, but because like what happens, especially with these games which go on, like live service games which go on for a long time, which play the psychological tricks of binding you to them, like you start feeling like it's part of your identity, and because of that, you're more inclined to spend money because It's your game. You like it. You tend to return to it more. But because of that, you will also see people come in conflict with it. So like when a game like Warframe doesn't like put out what people expect it will put out, it becomes a big problem for them because not only is the game failing, it feels like a part of them is failing. Well, like it's not necessarily failing, but it's not where they want it to be. So it doesn't meet their expectations, and that's a problem for them. And then they get angry with the game because because the game is not doing what they want, and because they identify with it, part of themselves is not doing what they want, and they hate seeing like a failure with themselves, a flaw with themselves. And it becomes such a personal issue that no, I don't want to support this anymore. It's horrible. Fuck this game. So I think that is a very key thing to consider, especially when it comes to like content creators that are very upset about a game and like, oh, like I have so many issues with this game. Oh, why is this game so bad? It's you. I'm sorry, but it's you. Like you're making this personal, and it's not personal. Let me tell you something. The game doesn't give a shit. It's a game. It's doing what it wants. Like you're making this about yourself. Like you're making this feel like, oh yeah, I'm so important. Oh yeah, it's like I know what's best for the game, and the game should succeed according to my ideas. No, it's a game. Just let it do what it wants. That being said, I've been there, dude. I've fucking been there. I thought that I could build a personal relation with a game. I thought that I could improve the game, and then the game would give me recognition and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't work. It's an institution. It will do what it wants. If you can come to a mutual agreement where like that does something, you do something, it's beneficial for both. Hey, engage in it, but like don't identify too closely with it because like it's not a like two-sided relationship. Like you will benefit it, and it will be fine with it, but it will not come back and benefit you because it's not a friendship. So with that being said, when it comes to like the way that I feel about Warframe, a lot of my feelings toward Warframe are influenced by number one, playing it for like years and years and years and years and years on end, like just having seen most of it. Number two, not particularly like being the target audience of the content that's recently come out, and number three, as I said, I've been falling for the fallacy of like making it a bit of a personal identity, so personal issues with it. I would say no, this is not something that I'm ready to spend my money on now. Would I if this was a brand new game? Well, there's been something that's got me stuck on it for 7 years on end, so probably yeah, if I didn't have that connection. But yeah, I think that's a very key point to remember.
Cool. Moving on. Jazzberry Jam. Yeah. Jazzberry Jam. What is the game purchase you felt was most worth it? I'm not going to say Warframe because I keep buying that. What? It'd be a toss-up between Nier Automata and Dead Cells, like genuinely, because like I kind of want to say just Nier Automata because I always want to go back to that game. Dead Cells, I do go back to that game. I think what's in my favorites? Yeah, I'm gonna say Nier Automata. I think that was totally worth it. Like the story, the experience, a bit shaky on PC, but if you mod it, it runs a lot better. Like that. And yeah.
I would probably say Persona 4 Golden. I really enjoyed that. I am so hoping that like Persona 5 release its upgraded version, Persona 5 Royal or something. I really hope that comes to the Switch because I love that. I absolutely love that as a handheld game. So yeah, that would be my most worth purchase. Let's see. Arturia asks, which games are you two the most hyped about this year? Oh, dude, for sure, Valorant. Wait, did I misspeak about Cyberpunk?
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 for me.
Yeah, definitely Cyberpunk, of course. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it. We've been going on for a little over 2 hours. I hope you all enjoyed this podcast, this FrameCast. I hope you had fun with it. Talking about Valorant, talking about the things going on around it. If you're so interested, catch Twitch streams of not this channel because we're not in the selected 100 channels. Surprise! I know. What a shock, right? We're not the top channel on Twitch. Wow, I didn't know. Oh God. But yeah. Anyway. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you had a fun time. We'll be back next week for episode 40. But before that, make sure you check out youtube.com/CasinoGalleon for more of Casino's content, where he does the amazing stuff. And if you want to catch this podcast on any of the podcast platforms or on YouTube, it will be live tomorrow on youtube.com/PostmaLongGames. Oh yeah, and I should always say patreon.com/CasinoGalleon for the monetary support so that Casino can buy more of the games. Anyway, I'll see you all later. Have a great time. We'll see you around next week.
Bye.